What it is, what it do, cyber world. It is your girl, the one and only Ash Brown, and this is Ash Brown Uncensored. On this program, I talk a little bit about everything. It may be pop culture related, but it's probably Ash Brown related. So you gotta stay tuned to see what I'm gonna talk about. Well, today, I'm gonna talk about something that randomly occurred to me this week. You know, it's like you go through life and sometimes it's just so fast. You're just going through things and compartmentalizing stuff, and you pretty much forget things. Things that happen, things that are part of your life, and things that really helped you to become you. And so we're going to go back to the time where we moved to Georgia. So we moved to Georgia as a family, and I was 6, and it was actually on Halloween, all right? I was the most disappointed 6-year-old ever to have to move down on Halloween. I remember pleading with my mom, oh my gosh, please, I just need to stay. I'll stay with grandma and grandpa. So, I'm around an authoritarian figure, I just really want to have this last Halloween in the Bronx. And I was told no. I was like, no, we got to go as a family. I was like, yeah, I love y'all and everything. And I'm coming to Georgia. I just want to have this last Halloween here. That's all I want. Yeah, that didn't happen. So we moved on Halloween, and everyone just tried to reassure me that, oh my gosh, it's going to be so good. And, moving to Georgia is going to be great. It's just going to be just like the Bronx. Everything's going to be just the same. It's just a different atmosphere. That was not true. New York and Georgia are day and night. They cannot be compared. In my opinion, they cannot be compared. And Georgia was rough. I had a very difficult time adjusting to life in Georgia. And that was really just all on account of the school. Schools and everything looked different, sounded different. In New York, it was just different. So the school that I went to in Georgia, I was one of 2 black kids in the class. And everyone, including the teacher, treated me like trash. And I remember being 6 years old and being so confused. I'd never been discriminated against. Not to my knowledge. Up to age 6, never. In New York, I had friends of all different backgrounds, of all different creeds, of all different nationalities. And we were just kids. Yeah, even in New York, I got bullied some. I did. I got bullied some, and I told my mom about it, and she came to school and straightened that little person out, and we were good for the rest of the year. But Georgia was different because they were treating me different because of my complexion. And I knew that because they would say it. I had kids coming up to me and asking, well, why is your skin so dark? Why are you that color? Why do you look like that? And I remember being just perplexed with the question and just telling them well, this is the way that God made me. And so I made one little friend, shout out to Cynthia Broadnax. She was my only friend for the first 2 years. And one of the main ways that I was able to kind of soothe myself and try to fit in but still wasn't fitting in was New Kids on the Block. New Kids on the Block were my soothing mechanism. Now, prior to moving to Georgia, I didn't know about New Kids on the Block. I had no idea who they were. Didn't really care. Just wasn't exposed to their music or anything. And moving to Georgia, all the little girls in my class, and maybe even little boys, they were always talking about New Kids on the Block, talking about their music, talking about the music videos, all these things. So I was like, okay, well, maybe this is something that I can, relate to them with, and maybe they'll want to talk to me. Maybe we could even be cool. And so I really just fell in love with New Kids on the Block because the songs and trying to relate to my peers, it was all a process. So absolutely loved them. And then my mom understood and knew that I was having a very, very difficult time. I was struggling. And I think she just didn't know how to help. And it was just such a unique situation. But when she found out that I was now obsessed with New Kids on the Block, she got me their album. I got the bedspreads. I got the towels. I got the action figures. I got the VHS tapes. It was like she made sure that I had everything. So at the bare minimum, I may have had a crappy school experience. But when I came home, I had my baby brother and my baby sister to play with. And I had New Kids on the Block. I had their posters all over my wall. Jordan Knight was my favorite. My absolute favorite. Shout out to Jordan Knight. And I remember just playing, and shout out to the kids today that never had to deal with VHS, or not VHS, but cassette audio tapes, because, there's side A and then there's side B. And I remember just wearing that stuff out, like going to sleep to it. And it being a soothing mechanism. Listening to their voices, they harmonized really well. The songs were catchy. And given I was 6 and they were like 16, it was still a way of me just trying to relate and really becoming a fan of some good music. New Kids on the Block are awesome. They really are. Now, given I'm in my 40s now, I like the classic stuff. I know that they have new music and they're out on tour and all the things. But classic New Kids on the Block, count me in. Count me in. And so that was just kind of wild. This past week, I was talking to somebody and we were talking about New Kids on the Block. And I was like, oh yeah, they were totally like my favorite. How did I forget that? How did I forget that? So shout out to New Kids on the Block and all the things that they're doing. And I really appreciate them recognizing New Edition as the blueprint as they were. And that's pretty much my story. So that's all I'm sharing for today. Anyways, I love you guys. I appreciate all the love and support and everything. It is the season of All Hallows Eve. So I spent a few days ago, I went to Netherworld Haunted House. And if you haven't already checked out the ashsaidit show, I interview the co-founder of Netherworld. And it's a pretty awesome episode because every year there's 2 new themes, all right? Every year there's 2 new themes for the houses. And we had a great time. And also, if you follow me on social media at OneLoveAsh on Instagram, you'll get to see some highlights of that trip, that visit. So I hope that you guys have a good, prosperous, purposeful, and peaceful week ahead. And I will holler at y'all later. Deuces.